Good morning, Max. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. How's life in Paris this evening?
I'm having a beautiful time right now. It feels like everything happening to me is pretty positive customer experience wise recently, and I feel I may actually have another feel good story to share with you.
No, come on, really?
Well, I'm actually feeling kind of bad about it, because if I'm getting all the good karma at the beginning of the year, what's going to happen in second half is...
yeah, there you go. It'll we're going to have one in tears pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. Sounds good. Well, you want to hop on the couch and tell me your good news story?
Let me give you the headline first, and then I'll hop on the couch.
Right.
That's another car garage story. That's a follow-up from one, maybe two stories I had. Two stories, I believe, that I've shared in the previous months or year. That's a feel-good story. And I'm going to do name dropping at this point, because I think it's just so well deserved.
That good of a
It is that good.
News. Oh, so, nice. Okay. Well,
ready?
Yeah, I'm dying to hear.
All right. So let me take one step back. Last year, at some point, I told you the story of that garage next door that I'm using, not because they're good, not because they're cheap,
right.
not because they're friendly,
nearby.
but they're nearby. And then I told you another story later, a few months ago, about, hey, you know what? I've actually tried a different one. And yes, it's a little bit further away. And yes, there's really nothing to do around while I'm waiting for the car, but they are polite. It's convenient. The job is well done. It's nice. They're not trying to screw you. It felt so good. So this story today is the continuity of that one. Last weekend, I went on a family trip with my wife and my young baby girl. And then we parked somewhere nearby the woods. We went for a walk. We came back an hour later, however long that was, and impossible to start the car. Now, obviously, it was a battery problem. So first thing I do is close the doors carefully, because, hey, it's still freaking cold around here. At least it was last weekend. And, no electricity means no heater. And with a baby, you don't want to do that.
Okay. Yes, true.
My wife and I, our phone batteries are pretty much running out as well. So we just have a few calls we could make in order to make it work. I call a neighbor. Nowhere near, can't help. I call my insurance, which is telling me, yeah, sure, we send someone for you immediately. 10 minutes later, they call back and say, actually, you're too close to your home. It's not covered. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. I called a bunch of different vendors, garage nearby, asking them, can you help? And they could not, because, yeah, they could help if I would drive the car there, but they could not pick it up.
Your car that wasn't working.
Yeah. So I start living a nightmare, and I'm getting a little bit frustrated, because, I have a newborn, which is I can't just call a taxi, because you have regulations. You need special seats for kids, and not every taxi has that. There is no one nearby. We are close to the woods. It's getting darker. It's a weekend. So I'm a little bit like, okay, we got to figure this out. Now, lucky enough, I got a guy stopping his car just next to mine to go walk in the woods, happened to have all the cables. He helps me restart the car, charge it enough so that I can start the car, and I'm off to the nearby garage, which happens to be the same brand that I covered last time. That brand is called, I don't know how you would pronounce it in English, Midas, I guess, M-I-D-A-S.
Oh, Midas.
Midas.
Yeah, that's a big chain here too. Okay. I think they are US based, actually.
All right, well then it's international enough then. So I drive there, and I'm simply amazed by the service I get. First, they realize I have a kid in the back seat. They realize I'm pretty stressed out. I get first priority out of nowhere, knowing they probably have lined up customers.
Wow.
They manage to be incredibly friendly, much better than the other brand that I won't name, but much, much better. They test everything. They show it to me so that, it's not that they fix it in the background and then they come back with a gigantic bill. No, they show me every step of the way. They test it. They explain everything. They tell me that the battery is pretty much dead, so we need to replace it. And then they start saying, oh, there's another piece that we might need to check. At that point, I feel like they might want to overcharge me for something else, but let's test it. They test, they say, no, the rest is fine. There's no need to change anything else, which is rare enough to be highlighted. And so no hard selling of any sort. They check every step of the way whether I'm happy. They make me feel valued. They make me feel like I'm an important customer for them, even though I'm kind of a new customer. And then they start asking for my name. Just asking for my name, they immediately get all of my information from the system, from the other garage a few kilometers away. They just verify it's really me, so that they don't send the bill to anyone else. They don't ask me to fill any paper, just give them my credit card. 30 seconds later, it's done. We're back in the car. By the time I arrive home with a brand new battery, I open my mailbox. I have a copy of the bill in the mailbox. And it just feel like every experience should be that smooth. And I also feel they kind of gave me priority, not because I'm a good customer of any sort, but because they could feel it's not just simple maintenance. I was under stress. My wife was under stress. The kid was crying. They had to do something about it. Whether it was a responsibility or not did not even matter. And they were here when, as a customer, I needed their help. And not just this garage, but I had a similar experience last time with another garage of the same brand. I am a loyal customer of these guys. Again, they're not next to my home, but they know how to manage customer experience. And they just a funny anecdote on this. The other brand I used to go to, they have large marketing budget. They have cool, funny ads. They send me SMS all the time for promotions of items I don't need, but they suck at customer experience. Those guys, I never see an ad going out, but they know how to treat customers. Ultimately, I'm definitely going to stick with that one. So Midas is going to be on my Hall of Fame for customer experience.
Wow. I've heard it said, one of our better customers has said this, that the best marketing is good customer service. And clearly that's ringing very true for you here. And not just because this is what we do for a living, but because it really was. The other thing that strikes me is the concept of empathy. That's kind of been a buzzword in customer service for a while recently. And what could be more empathetic than, well, this guy's really stressed out. Oh, he's got a little baby. Let's get this guy taken care of quickly. What an awful story to be stuck in the woods with a dead battery. Let's just make sure we get this guy taken care of. And it's interesting. I think this is more a human story than a technology story or a systems story. I mean, there's a cultural story of, this is how we want our stores to run. This is how we want our customers to be treated. There was some technology in that, the database was shared across all the different offices, and they were able to pull you up and make it easy to do that. And they were quick with their receipts and everything. So they were efficient. But that really seemed secondary to just the people cared, and the people, and even the way they treated the repairs, letting you know step by step, okay, now we're going to look at this and see what it is. Just a very human and thoughtful approach to everything, which is really cool and really exciting to see.
And I have no idea whether it's a cultural, so it's definitely a cultural thing, but one of the questions we left hanging last time we discussed was, is it just this specific location, or is it a brand thing? Would we get the same service if we had to go somewhere else? Well, I did not plan on doing it, but I had to go somewhere else. And it so happened that the service was as fantastic. And they were joking. They were, trying to make it something not important, make us feel better, chatting with the kid in the back. That was really great. And I have no idea I don't know what is their model. I don't know if it's franchises, which, it's very difficult to keep the culture when you don't own the actual location, yes. Right? So I don't know if it's a company that everyone works for the head office, or whether they are franchises, but it's so fantastic to see that they managed to get the culture down to that granular level, and they managed to hire people who care, because it's also about, getting the right culture is about making the environment cultural friendly for that specific culture, but it's also about hiring the right people. And the people I've worked with there were just fantastic and really friendly.
Yeah, hiring the right people and building an atmosphere, in this case in the store, if it was a contact center, where that behavior is rewarded or encouraged. It doesn't even necessarily need to be rewarded. Just, no, this is the way we are here. This is how we're going to treat people. Two questions do come to mind. One is, your last repair was at a Midas shop, and yet your battery died. So is there any reason to have concern around that maybe they missed something, or you think it just was coincidental?
Well, I thought about it. I thought about it. They did tell me on my previous visit that the battery was just fine. But two things. They were about 2 months gap between the two visits, so things happen. Plus, my car doesn't sleep in a nice closed garage. It sleeps outdoor, and we had some very cold weather in the past few weeks and months. So I would not be surprised if the weather had a strong impact on the battery, which could explain it. Plus, it was almost 5 years old, which is more or less a lifetime of battery.
Nothing to pick on them there. The other thing isn't about them. I'm just curious. In the U.S., we have something called AAA. So if your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere, you subscribe, and it's not that much. It's $100 a year or something like that, maybe a little more than that, but it's not very much. And you call an 800 number, and they'll send a tow truck. And so you didn't have to wait and get lucky and have somebody show up. Do you have that kind of service there, or is that just not?
So it's supposed to be part of my car insurance that I'm paying for a much higher price than the one you have mentioned. The problem is there is a small bullet point saying that you have to be further than 50 kilometers away from your home for that to kick in. Between 0 and 49 kilometers from your home, you're on your own. Or you can pay a premium to have this part of your insurance, but it's already pretty expensive. Do you still want to pay another $300 on top of it to cover the first 50 kilometers? And I barely use my car. That's really something I use for the weekend. I mean, I'm working from home. The few times I go to Paris, I take the public transportation. So do I really want to pay over $1,000 a year for car insurance? Probably not.
No, wow. Okay. That's a good reason not to do that. Well, what have we learned?
Well, we've learned again that culture makes a difference, that empathy definitely is an incredibly important point. We've discussed a few weeks ago about the importance of not faking empathy, or at least fake it well. If you fake it, do it well. Right. make us believe it's true. Do care about your employees, yes, but your customers. That's probably the best type of marketing you could have. Because again, for me, it worked so much better than those great ads the other brand has online. And going back to the other brand, don't bombard me with SMS with random promotions about items I'm never going to buy. Try to be a little bit more focused, or at least make my experience good enough that I'm going to come next time. It's probably going to be more efficient and cheaper for you than sending me random SMS all the time.
I love it. I got nothing to add to that. That was a great summary. All right.
Perfect. I'll add this to the Hall of Fame. I felt good. I feel even better now. And I hope that's just the beginning of a long series. But something tells me next week there's going to be something.
There'll be something bad will happen. I'll go hire a couple gremlins to go after you. But just make sure it's not all good.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Max. Have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you next week.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Julien. Have a good evening.
Max. Bye.
Bye.